everybody. We are live.
We should be. Let it just.
There you go. And on Twitch today. Hey, folks. Just give us a minute while we get set up.
All right, I think we're good.
Yeah.
All right, I'll count us in and then we can go ahead.
Awesome.
3, 2. Hello and welcome to the Home Assistant Podcast. My name's Phil, and joining me as usual, I've got Rohan with me. How you doing, mate?
Hey, good. How are you?
Very good, thank you. We're going to break down the 2026.2 release today. We're going to catch up on CES 2026. It's been a big month. I think this is also a big release, so try and get efficiently through this episode as best we can. But of course, before we do, this podcast is sponsored by Home Assistant Cloud by Nabucasa. For a small monthly fee, you'll unlock powerful features like secure, effortless access to our system from anywhere, your choice of voice assistants, offsite backups, and more. They're all configurable in the UI, and there's no YAML needed. It also supports the development of Home Assistant, ESP Home, and other Open Home Foundation projects. Click the link in the description to learn more. We'd also like to give a shout out to our Patreon members, including our executive producers Benny, Jason, and Rob. You can help support the show and get early access to episodes, all in an ad-free feed. To support the show, check out homeassistant.fm and click Patreon in the menu. And of course, if you can't do that, we'd appreciate a like, comment, subscribe, or rating wherever you're listening or watching us today. It really does help us out. Rohan, 2026.2 is here. So
It is.
I think we've got a bigger release this month, catching up from everyone coming back from holidays and all the PRs that were raised during the holidays there.
Yeah.
But I think before we get into that, we should do a little bit of a catch up. So we went to CES again in January, and we have released a video on our thoughts on CES. We put that out as a bonus episode on our Patreon and our YouTube members. It is on our free side, so you don't have to pay any money. Just join up to Patreon, and you can get the video there. I think I'm glad we did it as a bonus episode because it was like an hour and a half of us just breaking down what we saw at CES,
Yeah.
which
We
was
thought it would be like, I don't know, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and it
yeah,
definitely was not. So,
it was not no.
no.
So yeah, do if you're interested, check it out. As I said, just hit the join button if you're on YouTube, or go onto Patreon, homeassistant.fm/Patreon. Hit the join for free, and it's in our timeline there. Um,
Yeah.
I do want to give us a couple of other shout outs while we're talking about CES. We got to hang out with a lot of people. Shout out to Justin, Kevin, and Carl from Apollo Automation. Those boys can walk, right? So
Oh,
yeah,
God, yeah.
shout out. Shout out to them. Also got to hang out with TJ and Gavin from HomeTech.fm podcast. So had a lot of fun with them. And yeah, just a lot of walking through Vegas. Also, shout out to Samsung. They gave us a good tour around their show floor. They had a whole bunch of,
Yeah.
they basically did a whole own thing at a different hotel. They had a whole bunch of smart home gadgets there that they were showing off, a whole bunch of home gadgets as well. I was really impressed with the soundbar that can do AI filtering out of voices. That
Yeah.
was my takeaway of that. And obviously, yeah, moving smart things over to Matter. That was
And they had a
really
lot of
good.
ecosystem folks too. Like they had like Nuki, for example, who we've talked about a few times on the
Yeah.
podcast. We had on the podcast.
Yep.
So yeah, that was neat.
Um, what we didn't mention in our CES breakdown video was things that we didn't see this year. So we
Mm,
first time last year in 2025 we went to CES. This year there was a couple of notable omissions. I didn't see Flick there this year. We caught up with them last year. They make a little smart home automation remote. I'm pretty sure they were there. Maybe they weren't on the show floor this year. Shelley weren't there this year. They had a very big booth last year. They were there. I think, yeah, it was just interesting to see. I guess with tariffs now and also the political climate of getting into the US, I know there are some companies that were like, you know what, it's too expensive for us this year to go, or we're not going to bring our whole team over into the US
Yeah. Or
to
it's
the
just hard to
show.
get in, right?
Yeah,
Depending on where you're from too. So
yeah. Well, I mean, so Frank, who we had on the 2025 12 breakdown with us, of course, great friend of the podcast, he tried to go to CES and just couldn't leave his country, right? Like just
yeah, I think just
planes.
weather. That was just weather and
Yep,
mechanical issues and all of that stuff. That's not anything to do with the any political reasons. Just
yep.
stuff. I think he tried for 3 days, and I felt so
Yeah,
bad for him.
exactly.
So
And still, last time we caught up with him, we caught up with what, just a couple of days before this recording, and he still hadn't got his luggage back. So, yeah.
yeah,
And
which
there was
is
a whole bunch of
tough.
other guys as well from Homey as well that were stuck, couldn't get to CES as well. So, yeah, that is
Yeah,
unfortunate. Yeah. State of the open home. So Home Assistant has announced the state of the open home is going to be in April. It's going to be April 8th. Now, by the time this podcast is released on Wednesday, there should be a blog post about this, I believe,
yeah,
being
I think
released.
so.
So yes, April 8th in the Utrecht, Netherlands. It will be in person, and you can buy tickets to the. So if you want to go and you're in the Netherlands, April 8th, there are tickets you can buy. I'm assuming, and reserve your place to see the State of the Open Home live.
I do really like the Netherlands, so there you go. Good
Yeah.
reason. Also, the Open Home Foundation dropped something called a device database. So it's essentially an opt-in model um, where folks can share their device information. Now it is anonymized, so they don't. It's not like, hey, this is Phil's water leak sensor in Home Assistant or something like that. But essentially, it's a roundup of all your entities in Home Assistant, and it delivers that up to the Open Home Foundation. Now, why do this, right? And it's really around supportability. It's really around like, hey, people have these kind of devices in Home Assistant. So you can go in, you can go look at what they've got, and you can see that. Right now, I don't know if it's public or not, but essentially what it is it's a Grafana dashboard. Um, but eventually it's going to be its own like website kind of thing. And but yeah, so the idea again is they are privacy focused. They don't want your personal information. What they want to see is they want to see, okay, there's all these different types of devices. Who do they support? Who do they reach out to? It gives them a lot of information too, right? When they say, okay, like I've got, again, for example, I've got a lot of Shelly devices that Home Assistant users run. Okay, well, maybe Shelly is someone to partner with. Obviously, that's a bad example because they already do partner with Shelly, but that's kind of the idea there, right? And to say, okay, how can we actually take this and make get information so that one, you can make a better decision when you go to buy a device, and they can look at like, is this cloud, is it Zigbee, is it Z-Wave, is it, and it starts to help prioritize some of those efforts there too, I think. But there's the other side of this, which is like sometimes people get like pre-release devices, right? So how do you keep your like NDAs active, right? So obviously, if it's a pre-release device, if I have this new thing, I can't talk about it until a certain date. It's under embargo. More of a problem for creators, but a lot of times people sign up for beta devices and you go, hey, this actually works in Home Assistant. Great, right? So
Mm.
to prevent that, there's got to be about I think minimum of 50 instances to report to device. Now I did look in the Grafana piece, so that's not there yet. So they will collect that information, and the idea is to only show it once it hits about 50 devices for that specific model or what have you. Um, MQTT devices, ESP home devices, and any custom integrations for now are uh, ignored, right? So that means, if I have like a custom like ESP32 based thing that I built, realistically it'll be like one of one or like, I don't know, 10 of 10 or what have you. So probably wouldn't show up anyways. But any ESP home type devices in there for now are will be excluded. So keep that in mind there
Yeah,
too.
I think to note, like this is so the Open Home Foundation device database is currently still in beta. It's still being worked on. It's
Yeah,
restricted by a labs toggle. So if you want
correct.
to start sending data to the device database, you need to first enable the feature in labs from the settings menu. And there is a secondary consent toggle. So there's currently analytics that you can push up to the Open Home Foundation of how you're using Home Assistant, like how many devices you have, of what your installation method is. This is also an extra consent screen that you can get behind. So you could choose to push up, rough analytics of how many integrations you've got activated, what your
Yeah,
installation type is, and not decide to choose to send up the device data that you're running in Home Assistant.
exactly. And keep in mind this is so it's brought in by the Open Home Foundation. It's an initiative by the Open Home Foundation, and it's at least for now it's in Home Assistant, right? But the idea is it is an independent project of Home Assistant. Just think of it
Yes.
similar to Music Assistant, how it's in Home Assistant, but it's not Home Assistant, right? So that's going to be the same kind of deal here too.
Yeah. It was
Uh,
cool to see that already, like with the data, like there are some companies that have reached out to the Open Home Foundation and been like, oh, we would like to know, what sort of products of our own are in there. I'm not going to name names of which companies that were, but yeah, it was interesting. Like, oh yeah, there's actually some use cases already coming out of this, all right?
yeah.
And
Well,
data is going to be
it's
open
nice
source,
too
so
because
it's not only going to be for Home Assistant. It could be for other open source projects or companies to use, and
yeah,
e- enhance the smart home experience.
exactly. And I talked about it as like, here's Home Assistant, then they can drive, development or partnership efforts or stuff like that. But it's to your point, Phil, it's actually the other way as well, right? Where, I don't know, company X who builds whatever product goes in and they look and they're like, oh, there's a lot of people using my thing on Home Assistant. Maybe I should reach out, or maybe I should take on the integration and we can actually come out with an official integration, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe somebody like Chamberlain can go in and say, "Hey, there's so many people that want to integrate our product. Maybe we'll just open it up."
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
let's not get ahead of
that
ourselves.
one may not happen. Yeah. Um, on other news, the cloud strikes again. Google Home had a major outage last month, or I guess this month technically, as of time of recording, with users reporting their lights and switches and things like that being marked as unavailable and uncontrollable. So that's
Mm.
less than nice.
I think it is like a very good lesson in why we are pushing for local control of devices. Like you just mentioned there before, we had like Chamberlain, right? Like they're
Yeah.
going down the path of, I think they're bringing out the new security protocol to
Hmm.
enhance security and take control of, what devices can integrate or can, control their devices, all in the name of security. And the only way to really integrate with their garage door openers will be via a cloud API that they have full control over.
Right.
This is a case in point of when the cloud fails. In this case, it was just an outage, but perhaps it's not a maybe Chamberlain used AWS in North Virginia, right? And
Yeah.
it's going to have a outage, right? As they seem to do a lot. Um, so yeah, I think it's we're preaching to the choir, I know, but it is important to
Yeah.
get these things. Like it's not Google is not a small company, right? They had an outage, and it didn't take them like just a minute to recover from it. I think it was a few days, if not a week, that some of these
Really.
things
Wow.
kept going on. So
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things where I think it's just it would be amazing if companies can open up their API and just keep it local.
yeah,
Like at minimum, you know what? Give me HomeKit. At least that's that's local. I feel like these days HomeKit's almost low hanging fruit for companies to try and get it there. Um,
yeah,
but
until matters. So yeah,
yeah, exactly.
ready to do its thing. All right, some feedback from our previous episodes. So we had a great chat revisiting Aaron, and that launched, that was released this month. So we had Twiz Shiz on YouTube, which I love that username. He's mentioned that for me, moving to another location is my stressor when it comes to Home Assistant or any kind of smart home thing. 2 years ago, we moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and it took over 3 months to rebuild everything from scratch. I did one room at a time to make the transition easier, and I did the bedroom last to ensure that everything's working correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I it's been a couple of years now since I moved into the home. I took the opportunity, similar, right, to start a fresh new home
Yeah.
instance. But yeah, I think yeah, changing locations with a whole like moving house, and that's one of the downsides of renting, like in the smart home, right? Like
Hmm.
typically when you're renting, you are moving much more often, unless you're in Europe and you have long-term leases, and in Australia where you
True.
basically get 12 months lease renewals.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there is the constant having to move a rental property, and take out all those light bulbs and hope they work in the next place. So
Yeah. And especially like, I mean, we saw a surge here where um, during COVID and all those things where house prices shot up. So a lot of times the people that own these properties are like, well, I can charge a lot more for rent now. So
mm,
hey, sorry, like obviously there's rules around this, but certain people still got away with a lot of stuff saying, oh, hey, we need to renovate the house. So sorry, you got 60 days or 90 days or whatever the required notice is to get out. And
get out,
then
yeah,
so now you're sitting there, not only are you scrambling to find a place to live, you're also like, okay, well, I've got a lot invested into my smart home and I got to pull all these things out. So, I mean, lesson learned there could be also, I mean, not on Twizshiz's comment. That is a really good name. But lesson learned can also be like have, especially if you're renting, is have an exit plan from your smart home. Right,
yeah.
is how can you quickly take it out in a low stress way and just focus on having to move, right?
I think that comes down to, and I hate this as an IT person, but good documentation. Like if you can document your smart home like you would in an IT environment, what IP address is this device? Where's the MAC address? Where does it live? I know I had on my network, I had a Raspberry Pi to control some blinds when I was renting. I couldn't
Mhm.
find where I shoved that Raspberry Pi. I hid it somewhere in the kitchen, but I forgot where I had put it. I knew it was on the network. I could see it online. I could SSH into
Yeah,
the thing, but I couldn't remember where I physically put it in the house.
hilarious.
Um,
You need a
so
treasure map.
yeah, yeah, exactly right. So that's where good documentation can come down to it.
For sure, for sure. Another great name, Full Metal Goose YT. Uh, it says free snap, free snap F tracker has GPS and integrated SIM. First purchase was like 60 euros and had 3 years included, so that's a really nice deal. So this is related to talking about like people tracking and those kind of
Mm,
things, right? So um, yeah, that seems like a pretty cool deal. The only thing I don't like about stuff like that is I like that it's GPS. I like that it's integrated SIM, and I like, relatively 60 euros is a pretty good price considering those devices use next to no data for 3 years of service. But then I know it's not another service, but it's another service, right? I know you technically you're paying for the SIM for upkeep and stuff like that, but it's still another recurring subscription kind of thing you have to pay for. Where I really like the idea of something like Meshtastic. For those of you on video, you can see I've got two radios there, one behind me on this side, one behind me. It's kind of hidden behind a candle there, but using something like Meshtastic, which can also deliver GPS data to track your items or your vehicles or people tracking or whatever you want to do in that sense, right? Short of chipping the individual, that seems like a good and it's a little more private, it's decentralized, blah blah blah. You're not reliant on your service provider to be available, because again, the people do have cell phone outages, as rare as they are, and that's typically the time when you want to try and get a hold of the person or be like, hey, where is this person? So I like the idea of that, but great call out there, Full Metal Goose, YT. I do. That is a really cool option, and that is a great deal too.
Yeah, I think it's available in Europe. I don't know if it's available globally, but yeah, that is good if you have
Yeah.
access to it. Jake has emailed in. Hi, Phil and Rohan. I wrote my first email to you 9 months ago when my daughter was just about 3 months old. You were so kind in pointing out the past episodes with other child related automations, and you even read my email on the podcast with Paulus with recommendations. So I just wanted to say thank you. Also, thought you would appreciate the fact that my smart home has forced me to reflect on my parenting journey as my daughter will be turning 1 next week. So happy birthday to your daughter, Jake.
Happy birthday.
Um,
Yeah.
with her turning 1, I have had to begin shutting down some of the automations I am most proud of, as she has grown out of them, and the daily briefing provided by Google has stopped recognizing her as a baby. Um,
Oh no.
that's cool, yeah. Jake,
That
as a
that that
father,
that is
I
also heartbreaking, by the way.
yeah,
So
exactly. Right. Jake, as a father, I can relate to this, and I think it also relates to what we're talking about with Aaron in our episode this month was
Mhm.
the seasons of life, right? And I think they
Yeah.
are very accelerated, especially in the early years of children. I know um, I was spruiking about my automation with the Amazon Echo lady, telling my kids to bring out their bottles from the night. That lasted not very long. The automation is still there,
Yeah.
but I haven't been able to get the kids to keep up that chore. So, yeah, I think my daughter started school this year, actually last week. So, now I've got a whole bunch of automations I need to edit and get into that routine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is. Yeah, kids really highlight the way our lives move very quickly and how we have to adjust our automations for that. So
100%.
yeah, congratulations on getting to the 1 year mark. Hope everything goes well. And yeah, come on the
Yeah.
journey and share. Like, yeah, feel free to if you've got some great kid related automations, like send them into us, and we'd love to share
Please
them.
share. Both of us have them, so it would be helpful. Honestly, even selfishly. But we'll try and call it out on the show too to help
Yeah.
other parents there. So
All right, let's
all
get
right.
to
So
the crux of it. 2026.2. The home dashboard there's some big news around the home dashboard for Home Assistant.
yes.
So the home dashboard is now the default dashboard for Home Assistant. So this is important. So if you are installing a Home Assistant for the first time, or if you haven't adjusted or made any changes to your home dashboard settings, the home dashboard, which was I guess it was put in beta last year, will
Yes.
now be the default thing you see in Home Assistant. Um, and now there's also it is no longer just a dashboard, but it is the homepage that the Home Assistant team has decided is a good base dashboard for Home Assistant. So you download Home Assistant, you've got nothing there, no entities. The first thing you're going to see is this default dashboard.
Yeah.
So um, the idea being it's good enough for users who don't want to build out their own dashboard. Now, if you're trying to get mass adoption of Home Assistant, which we're trying to do. We're trying to move away from just a technologically focused people and move it to
Yeah.
more everyday people. This is a great move. Um, the summaries area in the home dashboard will now also show dynamic data. So I was watching Paulus and Frank demo this, and I was like, oh, I've actually done this with mushroom cards and tile
Yeah.
cards for quite some
Yeah.
time, right? So the idea being that there could be cards that will show there are 3 lights on, and you click that card and you can see which lights are on, or it'll take you to an area's dashboard or whatever, just break it down what's actually happening. Um, yeah, I think this is cool. I haven't really, because I've made my own dashboards, I haven't really used the home dashboard that much. I think it is enough for people that don't want to go in and create their own
For
dashboard
sure.
and stuff. But
But you know
um,
what? When you had a brand new instance of Home Assistant, you add all your entities and whatever, or add all your devices in and stuff, you have this giant mishmash page of
the
every single
overview
thing,
page.
including, and exactly, and including like stuff that configuration elements for the device that you'd probably never touch. Maybe you do once or
Yep.
twice, ever. And it's I don't know. To me, I find it overwhelming. when I'm looking for something. And one day something's here, the next day something's here, and it gets messy, right? And it's
Yeah.
not. It is pretty chaotic. I think it's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah.
So I actually really like the fact that this home dashboard is where you're starting now. And if you haven't used it, um, it's actually pretty good, right? Like is it super? Does it give you all the elements of customization and stuff? No, but you can still absolutely build your own dashboards and do that yourself today, right? It's just all this is the next kind of new homepage rather than having that overview page. And if you like that overview page, cool. Just you can have that too. You guys create a new dashboard and click overview, and it'll just yeah. So that's
Yeah.
cool. Keyboard shortcuts. I've always been a big fan of keyboard shortcuts. So E and C I typically use. So when you're in Home Assistant, if you hit E, you can search for any entities or anything like that. If you hit C, you can type command. So like that's actually how I always. This is just I don't know why it's. I actually couldn't tell you where the restart button is. I have to look every time in like settings and whatever. So I just type C
Yeah.
and type restart. Uh, and that's just again for somebody that likes keyboard shortcuts and stuff. That's there, which is great. They've now added if you're a Mac, Command K or Control K, right, which is starting to get common now for bringing up a command panel to so you can navigate and all that stuff. And that search has been unified. So in the past, when you typed E and C, E brought up the regular, like I said, entities page. C actually brings up the same page, but with uh, a greater than sign, right? So essentially, or like a hard arrow, whatever you want to call it. And so in there, you can go back and forth. But now in this case, this actually is a single page with everything brought into it. So you can search for pretty much anything in Home Assistant, whatever capability or whatever entity or device or all of those things, because that's different too, right? Because you didn't have devices before. So
Mm.
I thought they mentioned there's something about like a D command which will pull up devices, but again, Command K seems to be the way to go here, and it's again standard across more than just Home Assistant when you want to bring up like a command panel. So that
Yeah, and there's a
is
great
pretty cool.
filters bar as well, so you can once you bring up that command, you
Yeah,
can sort of filter things down, in terms of
yeah,
like what to navigate to, what is an entity you wanna get access to. So yeah, that was cool to see.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, it's really neat.
Um, Something that not my favorite bit, I'm sad to see happen. I guess the writing was on the wall. So as of 2026.2, the developer tools is moving. It's no longer in the footer area on the sidebar. It's moving into the settings area. For me, I live in the developer tools, right? It's my little hammer. I just click it
Really,
and go
eh?
in there, and yeah, yeah. I just live in there, right? It's always been easier for me to see. I've never really like gone device first. I've always kept at the entity level,
Mm,
even when devices have been in for a while. So yeah, adding an extra click, I get it. Um, but yeah, if you're like me, and if you are like me and you use the developer tools a lot, yeah, ping me. Like, let me know I'm not the only one. But yeah, developer tools now under the settings menu.
yeah. Um, New Matter dashboard. So now, the last I don't remember, was it the last release or the one before? But basically, they rearranged a lot of stuff to bring it to kind of the settings. So when you just hit settings, you'll see like Bluetooth and Zigbee, Z-Wave, all of those kind of things there, so that you can go in and actually configure those things. Um, One of the things that was missing was Matter, so that's now been brought in. They've got a dedicated dashboard for it. You can do things like if you want to do, there's like advanced things in there if you want to set credentials and do those kind of things. Um, you can do that now in there.
Um, it's going to tie into the next one, but just on a side note, it also works with like if your Matter server is not on the same host. So I'm
Yes.
using a Home Assistant Green with a add-on for the Matter server add-on, and then that because I've linked that to my main instance on a different host, that still brings up. I can still see how many devices are connected to Matter all from that remote host, which is great to see. Now, I
Yeah.
mentioned I'm using a Matter server add-on. Well, as of 2026.2, if you're using Home Assistant OS, add-ons will now be called apps.
Yeah.
And this is probably a big change. I think it's one Frank has alluded to before. And the whole idea being that if you're installing, and maybe you're installing Uptime Kuma, maybe you're installing Music Assistant, maybe you're installing Portainer or anything, right, that comes from the add-on store, the previously the add-on store, they're not adding on to Home Assistant. They're sort of adjacent to Home Assistant. So
Yeah.
I think apps is the right terminology to use. To me, an add-on is almost like a component,
Yeah.
an
To me,
integration
an
into Home Assistant.
integration could be an add-on, right? It's a little
Yeah,
ambiguous,
yeah,
and yeah, like to me, like bringing Matter into Home Assistant or like that to me is an add-on rather than actually running the add-on, the server in Home
yes,
Assistant, right? So
yeah,
again, little, it makes it a little less ambiguous in my opinion, and it's going to be honestly for most people, it doesn't matter. It just you see the word add-on, replace it with the word apps.
yeah.
For folks like us that talk about it, it's going to make a little more of a difference because we need to change our verbiage for it. But other than that, no, it's pretty
What's
cool.
interesting to note, in actually when you're in the UI, there was one place we saw, and I can still see when I'm running the beta, is where add-ons is still on the UI. I believe that is actually going to be changing once 2026.2 goes out, which means there's potential, and I'm not 100% sure, but there is potential that if you're running an older version, so if you're running pre 2026.2, um, in that menu will change from not the menu, but the title of the add-ons area will change to apps, even if you haven't upgraded yet. Um, I can't confirm. I'm pretty sure that's yeah, what's going to happen there. So that's just an FYI. Could be wrong, or maybe there's a way around that, but that's my understanding.
Yeah. Purpose specific conditions and triggers. So we've talked about this a couple of times. There's more stuff getting added into this. So calendar triggers, person triggers, vacuum triggers, and conditions for locks, fans, lawnmowers, media players, climate, vacuums, a lot of stuff. Um, Without having to get into this back into like what this is, check out 2025.12, where we had Frank on and he kind of explained a lot of
Mm,
the logic behind what's happening and where it's going. But this is essentially around how the automations engine is changing. So if you're interested in that, check out 2024, no, 2025.12. Uh, wow. Yeah, there we go.
All right, there is a new card in dashboards. It is the distribution card. So it allows you to see what is using the most power in a nice stacked column chart. I believe that's the right name of the chart I'm referring to.
Mhm.
So yeah, I believe you can filter down which devices you want to be included on that chart. So if you've got so for me in my home, I've just past year I've replaced my gas central heater with electric, which means that when the central heater is or central climate control system is on, either heating or cooling, that is the biggest energy draw. But for me, because I don't have an energy monitor on it yet, it's just a big gray bar, right? So I can't really see anything else. I'm hoping
Right.
with this change, I can now create my own uh, card on my dashboard and go, okay, show me what out of the kitchen, out of the office, and my devices that I care about, which one's using the most power out of those. Because I know, for example, my NAS takes a lot of power. Maybe I want to include that against my TV, compare
Yeah.
the two, or see, or even the fridge, right? Like what out of all these core devices, excluding the big one, is using the most energy at the moment.
Yeah. That's I don't know, it's pretty handy, right? It gives you a little bit of flexibility in terms of how you consume data and what you're using and
Oh,
stuff. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah. I lost where we are. There we go. Heading buttons. Oh, this one's cool. So in dashboards, like when you have the heading, so like for example, like kitchen or whatever, a lot of times you can now stick different types of entities in there, and you can monitor. Hey, what's the temperature in the kitchen? Just using my same example here. that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now you can actually have buttons in there too, that actually do things. So I can push that button in the thing, and maybe it turns on the lights, right? Again, it's a little different than having it in the uh, underneath where your actual buttons are, but this is just a quick little, one-off kind of button. So yeah,
One that I really need to get into music is like the UI changes that they're experimenting with are looking amazing.
they look
We had
really nice.
Yeah, we've got SendSpin that's here now with the wireless streaming protocol, and I can see all the services they're adding. So I really need to get into Music Assistant more, if not for this reason, and that is that Music Assistant can now support custom pre-announced sounds. So I really like the pre-announced sounds on my announcements. If you're using the Alexa, ooh, I said her name. Apologies.
I
The
would.
Amazon Echo
Sure.
custom component. There is the ability when you can send notifications to the Amazon Echo devices. There is an option to have a little chime come in before that announcement happens. A little ding happens. I know the Home Assistant Voice Preview Edition can also have a little bell ding ding before it starts talking. I really appreciate those because otherwise, um, it's shock like, it can, scares the fudge out of me sometimes, right? When I'm sitting there, all of
Yeah.
a sudden, bam, right? There's someone talking
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So now you have the ability, to get some custom sounds in there. I was thinking, like, what Ron, if you were to add one today, what would be like a sound that you would add as your pre-notification bell? Like, what would you wanna have
Maybe
there?
like a subtle like pop or something, right? Like
Mm.
or even like a Mario like coin sound, right? Like Super Mario coin,
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
thing. Like because it's actually I don't know. I actually had that as my like text message ringtone
Yep,
for like in like university, right? Forever ago.
of course.
And it's nice because it's subtle and it's not like it to your point, you're not like jumping out of your seat when you get a message, and even if it's a little louder, it's just like a quick like bing, right? Like or
Yeah.
coin sound, whatever, I guess. And so yeah, that's probably for me, that's something I would probably do.
I like because these are custom now. You can probably do them on a per notification basis, right? So I'm thinking maybe you could do, that
Like
ding
alert
that
for
airport
like
announcement spellers have, like before they do
yeah,
like a web
yeah,
paging this
yeah, yeah, yeah,
customer.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you could do that for maybe in the morning when it's time to go, right? Like ding dong, you've got to get out the door. It's time to leave for school now.
Yeah,
And maybe for dinner time, you could have a dinner bell before the it's time for the announcement. Okay, okay, let's get to the dinner table. Dinner is served, right?
yeah,
But yeah, that is cool, and I love that
yeah.
Music Assistant is has that now.
Yeah, or for like alerts, have something that does get you out of your chair, right? Like maybe you don't
Yeah,
want this simple thing. You want like, hey, get up. There's something happening right now, right? So yeah, that kind of thing. Um, Sonos now shows podcast favorites in the meter browser, so that's a pretty neat one, and hopefully we're on that list.
there you go. Hopefully, feel free to put us on the top.
Sure.
Hikvision, I'm surprised this is only coming in now, but Hikvision integration now has support for cameras. So you can now view snapshots and streams from your Hikvision cameras and NVRs directly in Home Assistant. So there you go.
Yeah. Portainer, that integration now has a prune images button and a state sensor, which is really good if you want to save disk space. So,
I was using my AI assistant today to remind me what the Docker command was to prune images. So that
You
would
know
have
what's
come in.
funny for me? I couldn't spit out what it is, but I have it like it's like muscle memory because I churn through containers that often, right? Like just
Yep.
upgrading and whatever. And yeah, it's I do it like once a week, and I have for I don't know, probably like 4 years or something like
Yeah,
that, 5 years.
it's funny
But
because
it's just muscle memory,
on one of my own servers, I have it as a cron every Sunday night, just prune the Docker
right?
images, right? I should probably do that on my instance here at home, but yeah, I just haven't got around to it yet.
Yeah,
Um, if you are using Bosch and Siemens devices via their Home Connect protocol, you can now start dishwasher programs from within Home Assistant. Um, that's actually cool. I like the ability to stack the dishwasher and then I use the delay feature on my dumb dishwasher all the time. So having
Yep.
the ability to start that program, like, maybe you could have it, all right, once we're all out of the house, start the dishwasher. Or, if we've been asleep for a couple of hours, now start the
Yeah.
dishwasher. Yeah, I really do like. I know it seems not a big deal, but for me, there are. I like, for me, like with my dumb devices, I can only automate, based on delay times, right? I would love the
Yeah.
ability to automate when the washing machine starts, right? Similar
Yeah.
premise, right? Like when we leave the house, or um, once, if the house isn't in a certain mode, I only start the washing machine then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really do appreciate that.
Or it's also like, again, especially if you have electric appliances, you want to say, like, if you have based on like time of use, you can say, okay, you know what, turn on my washing machine, but however, I don't want my, like, turn it on at night, but I don't want it just sitting there. So turn it on if my alarm is set for 7 a.m., turn it on at, I don't know, 5:30 or 6, right? So you don't have like musty clothes and stuff. So that kind of thing, right? So it's yeah.
Now, if you're looking
Um
to upgrade your smart home, you can't go past Zeus. Zeus have just released their brand new Z-Wave long-range RGBW dimmer. You can now automate 12 to 24-volt LED strips with full brightness and color control. It's designed to easily install behind your momentary wall switch, or you can pair it with a Z-Wave scene controller for more flexibility. You can use the RGBW dimmer for accent lighting, under cabinets, behind screens, or wherever crazy you can think to put an RGBW light strip. Zeus are also an official Works with Home Assistant partner, helping Nabucasa by providing long-range devices for testing the Home Assistant Connect ZWA2 radio. So you know you're in friendly hands. Zeus offer a range of affordable and innovative devices, including water leak sensors, water valve controllers, smart plugs, and scene controllers. Their Zen 78 high power relay allows you to control and monitor high load appliances up to 40 amps, which is perfect for pool pumps, air compressors, and other high power outlets. So, for the best prices on all Zeus products, head over to thesmartesthouse.com. That's thesmartesthouse.com.
yeah, that high power one's actually pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Um, all right, let's talk some new integrations here. Cloudflare R2. So when you talk, if you're not familiar with that, it's basically Cloudflare's storage service that they have. So what's cool here is you can now start exporting your backups to Cloudflare R2, and they've got a
Mm.
free tier storage with no egress fees. So again, it's basically free storage in the cloud. Now, what do they do with that data? So on, I don't know, but your home assistant backups are encrypted, so that's a nice thing there.
But
So
this is good for people that maybe aren't paying for that Navigator subscription, right? And they're rolling their own
yeah,
remote access. I know I'm a big fan of Cloudflare. We use it.
yeah,
I use it for all our domains. I'm very impressed with Cloudflare. If you're using Cloudflare, this makes perfect sense, right? And yeah, there is a generous free tier, so it's good to see that as an option.
yeah, for sure. Even if not,
Green.
even if you do use Nabokasa, it's a great secondary or tertiary place to
Mm.
store it there too.
Actually, that's a good point, right? You could have like Navigator as one remote location, and maybe Cloudflare as another, a
Yeah,
secondary remote location.
yeah,
And if it's a good, I haven't seen what the actual free tier does look like, but if it's, if you're limited on Google Drive space, maybe you're on a free Google plan, right? Like you've only got the 2 terabyte
yeah,
storage, and it's, you're getting close to it. This is good to offload it from there.
absolutely.
Um, Yeah. All right. Green Planet Energy. They are real time dynamic electricity pricing data from a German renewable energy provider. So if you are in Germany, you can now get, I think it's I think it's either 5 or 10 minute polling frequency.
Oh, that's pretty
It's
neat.
pretty like, yeah, it's pretty frequent polling time. So yeah, you can then make decisions on, okay, actually energy prices have just gone up. I can now close off the washing machine. Or maybe if you've got a Bosch appliance and you've just realized that the prices have gone down, you
That's
can
right.
start your dishwasher. So there you go.
That's it. Anytime it's ready. HD Fury. So if you have one of the HD Fury HDMI processing device, video processing devices, like the Room or Diva, that's now brought into Home Assistant, so you can manage HDMI port selection, operation modes, audio muting, and monitor just the signal status there too. So that's actually a good one.
Yeah. I was looking. I had never heard of HD Fury, and I was looking at their website. I was like, oh, is it just like a HDMI switch? Like, I think that's what it boils down to. Like, you can pull in one HDMI source and then split it off into two locations. One of the use cases was for creating like an ambilight LED
Hmm.
accent lighting around your TV. Um, so yeah, it looks like there's a lot of use cases for
They've
that
got a
device,
bunch of
and yeah,
different things. I'm just like they've got like audio extractors and like stuff like that for HDMI.
yeah.
So it's pretty cool. It's neat.
NRG Kick. They are a mobile EV charger available in Europe. They actually have a great look. I think it's got a Bluetooth and Wi-Fi integration on their charger. So essentially, if you have an EV,
Hmm.
you can bring their charger with you, like it's just a portable charger,
Oh,
and plug that in wherever you need to. Um, and yeah, it's has a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity, so you can now integrate that into Home Assistant. Um, I'd be interested to know, like, I'm guessing you'll be able to see like energy usage from that, or even a low level, like is the car charging? Yes or no?
right.
Um, and I guess because it's a travel ability, it's portable, right? So there's yeah, not locked into where you're using that.
You can also keep wherever you're charging from honest, right? So you can say, hey, like, you charge me
Mm,
X amount for power, but this is how much I actually use. So that doesn't make sense, kind of thing, right? Again, it
yeah,
might vary, but yeah. Prana. So it's a HRV, like a heat recovery ventilation system that's built in, I guess, in Ukraine, or the company's from Ukraine. They've got customers in 42 countries. So if you're in one of those 42 countries and have a Prana system, you can now bring in your HRV into Home Assistant, bringing in
yeah.
some of that HVAC goodness. Yeah.
Yoo-hoo. They are an indoor air quality monitor. So they've got indoor air quality monitors that track temperature, humidity, CO2, PM 2.5, and other air quality metrics. That's now available in Home Assistant. You can track those. It also, the integration now also includes some proprietary health indices for virus and mold risk.
Hmm.
So I don't know how they calculate that, though. That's, I guess that's their secret sauce. I hope it's not AI, as we saw a lot at CES, being added in everywhere. So yeah.
That's cool. Some breaking changes. Now, again, these breaking changes are kind of just, they're not huge, but we're only going to talk about a couple of them. So with groups, the behavior of sensor groups have changed a little bit. So when you have a sensor group and it's now available, and it will be marked as unavailable if all group members are either unavailable or missing, i.e., if they're not in the state machine, right?
Mm.
So when the group is not considered unavailable, essentially the configuration variable for ignore non-numeric is set to false. So then the group state is calculated according to the configured type, only if all group members in the state machine have a numeric state. If not, then this group state will be on. So I talked about this in a recording that we did yesterday, which will come out after this episode, uh, closer to the end of the month. But when you're dealing with like groups and like that kind of stuff, sometimes the math gets kind of complicated, and just have a look at what you're doing. Just read through the documentation too, just to make sure you're doing it right. Otherwise, you'll get errors thrown at you and stuff like that. And it gets kind of frustrating sometimes, right? But that ignore non-numeric piece is a important one. Where again, if you have a sensor group, for example, for my house, I have a average home temperature uh, sensor group, right? So it takes
Mhm.
all of my different sensors around the house that collect temperature, and I've just thrown it all into one single entity. And I got to the point where if a battery died on one of them or something like that, it just comes in as unknown. So that's where that ignore non-numeric piece helped a lot. But yeah, so it's set to false by default. Remember that, uh, which is which means stuff will be marked as unknown if even one of those entities is not throwing a number out.
So does that mean
Um,
you potentially, now that if they do go into a unknown state, had you not had that ignore non-numeric value set to true, the whole sensor would be marked as like
Correct.
unknown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just had like a essentially in my tablet, I just have like a unknown or whatever come up instead of
Yeah.
like 23 degrees or whatever it is inside the house, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That can easily catch you out, I can imagine.
Yeah, it gets kind of annoying. So it's this is again, it's that's one of the frustrations when you start doing these kind of device groups. But yeah, just be
Mm.
aware of it. It's just something to know.
All right, Tuya. So if you have a Tuya device that has a duplicate HVAC modes, they've now been converted to presets. So you may need to adjust service calls from set HVAC mode to use a set preset mode in your automations or scripts. So that could potentially catch you out there if you're using the Tuya integration.
Yeah. That's 2026.2, I think.
It was like there is such an eclectic group of things, right? Like in this release, from the home dashboard becoming the primary thing now that you see when you log in.
Yeah.
Cool little keyboard shortcuts. I really like those. Um, yeah, so I think there was a good catch up release. I'm excited to see next month's release, because after the March release, we're then going into the State of the Open Home territory, April
Yes.
8th. And I think I'm hoping April's going to be an interesting release, because we've seen some cool things announced to coincide with State of the Open Home. Um, so I'm not expecting any new hardware or anything, but I'd like, yeah, maybe there'll be a feature up, maybe purpose specific triggers and stuff will be
Mhm,
the
mhm.
default by then or something, right? Um, any thoughts on what might be coming down the pipeline for you? What would you
Me,
like to see?
I I I would like to see easier integration of I know like I'm on both sides of the fence when it comes to AI, right? So, but I'd like to see easier integration of stuff like um bringing in like notifications with AI processing, stuff like that. And it's not hard now, but it's multiple steps. I'd love that to somehow just be less steps. Don't
Yeah,
ask me what that's going to look like or how that would happen or if that's even possible. But I would just love that kind of, if you have that, just like check a checkbox and it'll have a default prompt or something and push it in and do that
yeah.
kind of thing.
No, there you go. Well, thank you very much. 2026.2, that's done. We've got a couple of episodes, of course, coming out this month. You get early access on our Patreon.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we will see you for 2026.3.
Also, for the folks that are live, let us know if you like this kind of format. If you want to do more of this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
tell us. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you.